Good morning, everybody. It's Chris from Serene Education with your 4 majors analysis update for the 28th of August 2012. I trust everybody had a nice long weekend, bank holiday weekend for us here in Great Britain. Yesterday, bank holiday, so Nikki and I were not trading yesterday. We spent a bit of time with Connor, quality time, and we'll also be working on some new products. So keep your ears out. So otherwise, what's been happening on the Euro US dollar? So let's have a look and see. Last week, past couple of weeks, we saw a nice bullish engulfing counter breaking above this 12.3500 mark. Last week in particular, saw a slight consolidation here at the 20 period moving average as we head into this 2600 mark, and that just shy of the next potential support and resistance level, just here, just short of the 12700. Thereabouts, give or take. You can see a noticeable support and resistance level at this level here, 12650, 12700, and price failing to break into that. We saw a nice consolidation, spinning top last week, and on the European session open yesterday and going into today, we've seen more consolidation at this level. So let's have a look at our daily charts. Here we go. You can see that bullish break to the upside not so long ago above that 1235, and major support and resistance level here at the 38.2 fib projection point. So where to for price at the moment? Well, ideally got to get above this 1226, the 23.6, apologies. And if we can get above there, then definitely see that area here, the 12700 as a potential target. That's going to be in the same area as where the overall major downtrend, swing lows depicts downside movement. So you can see that price is excuse me, consolidating at this 1265, 12700 mark, which happens to be a prior support and resistance level. So that becomes a major resistance area, and that would be with a breakout our long-term target for price. However, it does need to get back above this 23.6 mark here, just below, or roughly around the 12500 mark. Failing to do so, will not see price moving higher towards that area at 12700. So you can see an indecision candle yesterday on the trading session, and this morning on the Asian session going into the European session open, we're trading at the underside of this. So got to get back up above this 12500 mark here, get above this 12500, then we should see price kicking up towards that all-important 12700. Notice price has been trading within this consolidated range, and we've just come off a pullback, which coincides nicely with this upside consolidative highs here. I'd like to see a pullback. We saw that on Friday. However, we wanted to see price being supported on Monday morning at this 23.6 here at the 12500. That failed to materialize. We saw this indecisive spinning top at the underside of this area here, and you can see that on the Asian session, price finding resistance at the underside of this. If that remains to be the same, then ultimately intraday we should be looking for targets to the downside, 12500. So if we move to our 4-hour chart, you can see that 12500 there. You can see I've drawn a nice lines through that area. That becomes a major resistance level. There we go. You've got to put these areas in 12500. So as long as it remains below 12500, then ultimately we should be looking for further consolidation, with the outlook with further downside being on the targets. If you look at the swing low, so in and around this area, it continues to find resistance here at 12500. It's going to be pushed lower, and if it's going to be pushed lower, then ultimately a break of this 1247 here would see price reverting to 1243, and ultimately back down towards that 123,500, that breakout area. Notice the RSI is above 50, so this is still positive momentum. You can see the CTC on the other side is still generally looking for further upside movement. However, if we're going to see further opportunities towards that 12700 mark, we do need to see price trading above this 12500. Failed to see price trading above 12500, we will not be looking for further buying opportunities. We should be looking for opportunities to the downside. So look at those targets to the downside until then. Hourly chart, this is my entry chart. You can see CTC histogram on the other side predominantly red. We're trading below this area here, 12500, which we need to be trading above to see any further extensions to the upside. You can see price at the moment now hitting or consolidating at the underside of this 12500 mark. If it fails to do so, then we're going to see price falling lower, and we should be looking at the institution moving average as our first target. Intraday on our hourly, 30 minutes, 15-minute time frame, if we find resistance here at 12500. Notice we have swing lows on our intraday time frames depicting downside movement, and notice the RSI is trading below the 50 period moving average now. Sorry, the 50% line. As long as it maintains these levels below the 50% line, then ultimately we're seeing negativity in the market. And if we find a nice bearish engulfing candle at the underside of 12500, then that could potentially signal a nice shorting opportunity intraday towards that 124300 and lower. On to sterling. Let's have a look and see what happened on the weekly last week. Breakout, and then we've had a pullback going into this week. Yesterday, Monday, bank holiday for us. However, the market was still open. You can see there was a pullback, and you can see the pullback starting through this day. And if we look at the 15,750, the major support and resistance level being broken, all the moving average below price. Now we need to see price now hanging on at 1575, consolidating here, finding this area here now as a prior resistance, a new support, and we can get that, and then this new support is going to build on the momentum, and we should be targeting the 1600 mark here, back up towards this major trend line. So if you look at the daily for this particular pair, let's have a look at the daily. There we go. A lot of bullishness through last week, however, pulling back through the latter part of the week, and you can see yesterday's trading day very negative. After Friday's close, negativity in the market. It's moving into this on the Asian session last night. You can see price moving to the downside and hitting that 15,750. However, in the European session open, we've seen price consolidating to the upside. It is imperative that 1575 now becomes a new support. Prior, you can see through June, July, August, major resistance. The institution below, above price at that time, noticed to be a major resistance. Now you can see price pulling back. Now we want to see buying sentiments on the hard right edge here. We want to see price now finding support above here. Trading above that 15,800 would be even better. Finding support, nice bullish engulfing candle here would be fantastic for this pair. It would definitely confirm that we should be looking for a bounce, and it'll bounce in the direction of the breakout. You can see the breakout, it was the upside, and we should be targeting that 15,900 if and when we get it close above 15,800. So for this week, as long as 1575 remains below price, then we should be seeing price building on the momentum. So look at the 4 hour. There's at 1575. Noticeable selling over these past couple days. CTC has gone red. However, we're not trading below the 1575. Okay, if price closed lower than the 1575 on a 4 hour chart, then that would signal a nice shorting opportunity to the downside. As you can see, the 20 and the 50 pair moving average in play as we speak. So as long as 1575 remains below price, that becomes a support area, and we should be looking for potentially price to find support now, where it was prior resistance for 2 months. Now we've broken above it and it's pulled back. Now we need to see price finding support here in order for it to build on that momentum to back up towards these areas here at 15,900. So on our hourly, if I'm looking for an opportunity trade, you can see the institution moving average now above price, supporting her just recently in the last 24 hours of trading. Nice bounce and moving higher. You can see that the swing lows in play. You can see price has been swinging lower over the past couple of days. After that breakout, it's imperative now that price gets above this 15,800 mark. Get above 15,800, it will clearly tell us that price is still favoring upside movement now, and a break and pull back. Now we can see a nice bullish engulfing candle here, breaking above 15,800 and closing there would signal that price is looking favorable for longs. However, if you look at the RSI down below us, it's telling us that price is trading out below the 50. Before it was trading above the 50, now it's trading below. It's telling that price is sentiment is looking really negative. However, that 15,750 is still below price, so we won't be looking at any shorting opportunities until 1575 has been breached, and as long as the RSI stays below 50. Otherwise, this is a no sell. It's just a fake signal. So as long as it remains above 1575, we should be looking for price to build on that momentum, and we should be looking to price to head up back towards that 15,900 to 1600 long term. On to the US dollar Swiss franc. Let's have a look and see what's been happening here. A lot of pullbacks since the attempt of that 1000 mark not so long ago in July. Bearish engulfing candle as we head into this major support and resistance level on our weekly. If I just pull back, you can quite clearly see through September, October, November of 2011 through 2010, a bit of resistance here, and price notice we fell off. A lot of selling here. CTC histogram telling us that we should be looking at nothing for more than negative sentiment. However, price has since bounced to the upside after a noticeable hammer here in August of last year, and price has been moving higher at and towards that 1000 mark. And once we got to that area here, noticeably a lot of selling taking place due to that profit taking, and prices now noticeably fallen to the downside. A lot of indecision candles since then, a lot of spinning tops, very tight trading ranges, and we've seen price moving lower, breaking below prior resistance, support resistance areas. In particular, last week, if you look at Monday, You can see quite clearly the price has fallen towards that 9,500 mark, and you can see last week trading at the upside of that. So as long as it maintains above 950, then we could see price potentially bouncing. But as you can see, looking at the start of the week, very indecisive. So if we look at the daily, yesterday in particular, you can see that we've had that breakout of that 970. Price has hit it into that 960 mark, pulled at the underside. We were looking for price now to find resistance here. Yesterday, this is Friday's close. Monday, we would like to see resistance here at 960. The price to continue to the downside. However, we saw a break higher, very indecisive still, and then going into this European session open this morning after the Asian session closed, you can see that price is still very tight. Very, very small trading range, a lot of indecision. CTC, yes, is red. We should be looking for selling opportunities, but it needs to be trading below the 960 in order to get a genuine sell. And if that does come about, then we should be targeting the 9,400, 9,400 mark. Back towards this institution moving average on our daily as our long-term target, if and when price closed lower than 960, and as long as the CTC remained red. At the moment now it's trading above 960, and as long as it trades above 960, then we could see potential for consolidation with the likelihood of that 970 breakout, the breakout area here, as our first target for the remainder of this week. So on our 4-hour chart, we need to be aware of these areas. Here we got 960 below price as we speak. Okay, as long as it trades above 960, then ultimately we should see price reattempting those highs at 970. Okay, you can see I'm building up a picture. Yes, we had a breakout of the 960 area. However, price fell to find resistance here. So we want to see a breakout, the pullback, and then a continuation in the direction of the breakout. That failed to materialize as price reverted and broke higher again. And in doing so, moving higher than the 960, which happened to be the resistance area. As long as it trades above the resistance, this becomes a potential support. And there's a potential support, then we can see price reverting back towards that 970 mark intraday. So you can see the lows here. You can see we're swinging higher, and this is the intermediate trend. This is the intraday trend, is looking upside favored, but we've only got two parts of our strategy template, i.e. blue arrow, blue candle. CTC on the other side is still blue, and most importantly, our major institution moving average on our 4-hour chart is way above price. Okay, so it's got to do a hell of a lot of work in order for this to be long-term positive for this pair. Okay, so if we move to our intraday hourly chart to look for an opportunity to enter, you can see the institution is still above price. So even though we have the CTC blue and it's trading above that 960, and you can quite clearly see the 960 here, and just below that February retracement area, price is still not trading above an institution moving average. Okay, we are still trading below a major resistance level at here at 970. Okay, it is traded. We saw a breakout on the 960. We'd like to have seen a nice bearish engulfing candle here. Confirmed now this is a genuine breakout with a continuation in mind towards that 940, 945 mark long term. That failed to materialize because price now went to this consolidative range at this area over here and then moved back into positive sentiment intraday. So as long as it stays above 960 intraday, then we should be looking for buying sentiment. Okay, that sentiment starts to drive through on our smaller time frames. You can see the low over here. We've had a price swing high, swing high, swing high. Price is moving to the upside. It would have been far better to see a breakout or bearish engulfing here to confirm this was a genuine breakout with sentiment behind it. That failed to materialize because that sentiment is not genuinely behind it, because we haven't seen that bearish engulfing candle to confirm that this initial break over here was genuine sentiment looking for further shorts. It just broke out and then faffed about over here, and just by doing nothing, it's consolidated now and it's moved back into this range over here. So still no trade over here, particularly because we're still trading below the institution moving average for any upside. It's got to be trading above 970 to be positive long term. As long as it trades in this area over here, this is potentially just a long term consolidation with ultimately price looking favorable for further downside movement. So it's imperative this is to be more of a long term bullish stance. It needs to be trading above the institution moving average, but ultimately above 970. That was our price support and resistance level, a major one. It's trading below it, so that's negative. Okay, and as long as that as long as price trades below 970, then the sentiment is still looking for negative sentiment long term. Last pair of the day is US dollar Japanese yen. Let's have a look and see what's been happening on the weekly for this pair. Consolidating yet again. You can see a massive consolidation range between June and currently in August. We had a noticeable breakout in February of this year. Price ready towards 8,400 and since then been pulling back. We'd like to see a nice bounce here, support on that 80 mark after the breakout of here. In February, that failed to materialize and then price went into this consolidative range. Bullish engulfing, couple months back here in June, but that failed to materialize. The price pulled back and failed to find support to see a further kick to the upside. It's gone back into this trading range. A lot of indecision just recently, a bullish engulfing candle, but that failed to see anybody really jumping on the bandwagon, pushing higher towards that 80. And we've spent the last week very indecisive, and starting this week still very indecisive, still trading below the two intermediate trend lines, i.e. the 20 and 50. So then you can see very much the CTC on the other side still very governed red, telling us we're looking for nothing more than negative sentiment. Candles still red, and most importantly moving average all above price. So if we look at the daily, let's have a look and see. We've seen a lot of buying just recently, followed by a lot of selling. So this is almost like some sort of fake out. However, you can see that break to the downside, trading below all the moving averages, but consolidating here at this 84.55 mark, which happened to be prior resistance and support on our intraday time frames. Our daily here, you can see a lot of indecision, small trading ranges, and most importantly, all our moving averages above price. This is known to be resistance, a major support and resistance level above price, the institution above price. So everything over the moment now, even though we've had this massive buying followed by selling, it still tells us that sentiment is still very indecisive, because major move followed by a major move in the opposite direction. This is almost telling us that sentiment wasn't generally behind price. So as it stands over here, to see price moving back towards these levels down here at 78, we do need to see the 78.45 mark being breached. You can see quite clearly there's a lot of hesitation at this area here. We've had 3 consecutive days of support at this area, and we saw a bit of buying into it. However, the Asian session last night going into the European session this morning, you can see a lot of selling in this daily range back towards the 84.50 mark. So on our 4-hour chart, you want to see price breaking the 84.50 mark, or ideally the 8400. On our 4-hour, you can see the institution moving average in play. We've just breached the last 4 hours. We've had our sell signal, the candles, CTC, everything's looking positive for further shorting opportunities. However, you can see where we are trading in relative to a major support and resistance level. We're quite close. We are trading now at the 78.45. We've had until 78.40 as potential support. Ideally, we have to see a nice break or bearish close below that. You can see a lot of indecision candles here. Yeah, we don't want to see a lot of wicks. We want to see a nice clean bar. Like the previous 4 hours, a nice clean bar telling us sentiment is generally looking positive, or positive in one direction, in this case negative. Okay, it's now formed a swing low. You can see the 4 hour. We've got swing lows from the highs here, roughly around the 79.60 mark, going into that 80. Swing low, swing low, swing low. This area here, this consolidated range of here, has formed a new swing low, and it's now dictating, look like it's definitely going to start falling. So a nice close below 78.40 here. Bearish engulfing candle would definitely signal that 7800, our major support and resistance level on our weekly and daily, would be our next potential target for this pair for the foreseeable future. Let's have a look at the hourly. This dictates my entries. You can see quite clearly here a lot of consolidation at the 78.40 mark. Want to see price really moving through that. Otherwise, we're seeing a major sell-off and then a consolidator. You can see since this break to the downside, taking us below the institution moving average, everything's starting to look negative, but we had a bit of consolidation after this breakout. Notice the RSI is you can see we're trading below the RSI 50% mark, and as long as it maintains below this 50% line, then we should be looking at this as potential negative sentiment. If you look at the intermediate trend for this pair, you can see that from the high here recently, it's been forming lower swings. Swing lows depicts negativity, and as long as it gets below the 78.40 here and closes nice with a nice bearish engulfing candle with very little wick, then it's definitely telling us that sentiment is genuinely looking for shorting opportunities, and we should be targeting that 78 for the remainder of this week. Notice the CTC, we have our red arrow, red candles, and the CTC on the other side's gone red. We are trading below the 50% line on our RSI, and most importantly, our moving average is above price. However, we have this area here at 78.40 that is still a major support and resistance level for this price. It ideally be far better for price to be trading below it, because you can see quite clearly over a number of days we've seen consolidation at this area. So it needs to break below that with a lot of momentum. Genuine sentiment, selling sentiment. If it comes in a nice juicy formation of a nice a bearish engulfing candle with very little wick, that will be our decision candle, and then we can target that 7800 for the foreseeable future. That's it, guys. That's my trading analysis for today. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. Please look at the news to see if there's anything out there that's going to govern these moves in the market. You'll be surprised what sentiment can do, especially with fundamentals. Keep your trading nice and simple. Back it up with sound money management rules, and be aware of your major support and resistance levels, on your dailies, because that will dictate how much profit you'd like to see, or profit targets you'd like to see intraday. So being aware of it on your longer time frames, plot those lines intraday and see where price is trading relative to that, and that will gauge or give you a direction of where price is likely to move to. Other than that, have a fantastic trading day, and I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. Until then, trade serenely.